Rightio! So, a lot of people have been asking about a tutorial for one of these paper little Christmas trees. Now, I didn't even realize there wasn't anyone out there who already made one. So, this is just normal paper. This is the Kamihimo paper, which is, comes in packs like this. It is a bit heavier, so if you want to make these to hang, like on the Christmas tree or something like that, then it's probably a good idea to make them with the thicker paper, because or double or cardboard, or you can also make them with harakeke or with raupo, rush, lilies, bark, cardboard, you name it. So the principle is the same, really. Any flat material will do. It's fairly quick, and so this is based on strips that are about 1 centimeter wide, and around about 20 centimeters long. And you need 18 of those. And I haven't got any more green left, so I've got pink. And really all it is, if you look closely, if you have woven before, this is pretty straightforward, really. It's like a checkerboard, over one, under one, all the way. And you just need to tuck it in every so often, and that's really all there is to it. But if you haven't woven before, that might be tricky. So I've halved these paper strips. There you go. I've halved them. Right? In it goes in the middle. So you basically always lock them in somehow. See? Locked in. And then you put the next one in. So it's always an under one, over one. In our weaving here, we call it a takitahe, but there's other names for it depending on where you are in the world. So we'll just call it an over one, under one for this. So if you look at this, so there you go. And because you've got 2 sides to this, you always have to check that it's the same on the other side. So you keep turning it over a lot. Well, I do. You can do whatever you like. But it becomes fiddly if you just hold it in your hand, especially if it's just paper. If it's a different material, let's just say bark, for instance, you might be able to, or even the Kamihimo paper, because it's a bit thicker, so it kind of lends itself a tiny bit better to this sort of process. But so you keep turning it over. So now I've just, if you look at it, so at the front here, I've got it nice over under one, right, like a little checkerboard. But on the reverse, this one is going over 2. And obviously I don't want that, so I need pull this one like so, and then suddenly I've got it over one, under one on this side, over one, under one on this side. Now basically these 4 strips are these, hang on, there we go, so you see it better, are these 4, right? Zoom in a little bit so you can see it a little bit better. So we're talking, right, so this tip here is that tip there. Hope that makes sense. And as you can see, in order to get that first little branch, we need a third on either side. So we're always working on both sides parallel. I find it easy just to pull it in on one side. Right, so there you go, and then turn it over, make sure that you have it same way. So now over, so now I need to pull it back and put it under this one, and that way There you go. So now you've got it. So it's going, if I'm looking at this one here, at this strip, right? So it's going over here, over this one. So this is the over bit, and it's going under this one. So over one, under one. This one, the next one, this strip, is going under this one and over that one. And then the next one again, over, under. So this is the over-under bit we're talking about. Right, and now I need another one on that side. And I find it easy, because I do this all the time, just to pull these back. It takes a little getting used to, but once you know how to do this, it's fairly easy. Right, so now we've got them nice on this side again. Oops, there we go. You see it's a little bit wobbly with paper. So now we've got a nice checkerboard, just like we have here, right? But, as I said, sometimes, or all the time, you better double check on the back. And on the back, you see, it's just going over all those three. So we need to... You can try and thread it through as you do it, but quite frankly, it takes 10 times longer, and it opens things up, especially if you're working with paper or something that is not quite as stable, you know. Right, so there you go. So now we've got these checkerboard over, under, over one, under one, over one, under one, all the way. So now we're basically at this stage. So we've got these three. It's like a square. You see that? So if I'm looking at it like that, it's that bit. Right, turn it around so you can see it a little bit better next to each other. Rightio, so we've got like a little fish thingy, right? So the next thing we do is the one that is on top here. I zoom in a little bit. Right, so there's this one that's sort of on top. We cut that one about 2/3 across the way of this one, right? And then the one from the other side we tuck in. If you want to make your life easier, you can, you know, sort of cut the ends, right? So that's that one tucked in. And now we do the same with this one, but see how on that side it's actually like this. So we need to, that's what I mean, we need to turn it over. There we go. Make it nice and tidy before you do that, before you cut anything off. Nice and tidy. There you go. Cut this. And tuck it in. Constantly squish things. So now you can, if you wanted to, you can cut these extra bits off as well. I leave them until the end just in case I make a mistake. Also, that shows you, if you see this and that. So if you wanted to, so this is the top. is basically this bit right now. And we tucked these sides in. So if you wanted to save on material, be it paper or, you know, like whatever you're using for this, you can make these first couple a little bit shorter. Bear in mind though, if you make them wider, they need to be longer. So you have to experiment a little bit with your length in terms of, you know, how many you want of which length. I don't want to go into too much detail. I normally am, but this time around, I think in order to make this quicker, and we'll just make it all the same length. Right, so we at this stage here. So now we're going from top to bottom, right? So now we need to add these ones in. And we basically do that the same way we did before. I just poke them in like so, and then I turn it over. Upsala. And then I know that I have to get the checkerboard pattern, so I just weave this one in. There we are. Right. And while I'm on that side, I add the next one in on the opposite side. It's tricky this. There we go. Make our checkerboard. There we go. And so we're adding 2 before we lock the next bit off. See, if you look at this, so we basically adding these 2. Okay. Once you made the first one, it's fairly easy, really, trust me. It's not that difficult. It's just that, you know, everything in life, first time, takes a little bit more time. And I need another one on this side now. You can make these smaller and larger. You don't have to make them the same way I'm showing you. This is just a little guideline. Right, turn it over. If you find it easier to use little paper clips or pegs or something like that, feel free. You know, whatever helps. If you're using the Kamihimo strips, for them it's really useful to wet them a little bit, you know, just with a water bottle. They won't disintegrate. They just they don't fall apart as easily if you use them. So you wouldn't want to do that with just a thin paper like this one. Right. So now look at this. So we've woven, tucked in, whatever you want to call it, up to here now. So the next thing we need to do is lock these 2 off as well. Basically what we did up here on the top, we've locked these ones off. I'll show it with a needle. So we've tucked them in, these bits, and now we're doing the same with these, forming our next little step. Same principle. The one that is on top is the one we cut off, and then we tuck this one. So if you find it too hard with the straight, you can, especially if you're working with not as pliable materials, you can cut them into a little tip, and that makes it easier to tuck them in. There you go. Yeah, that one's done. And now we need to turn it over again. And this one. There you go. Right. So there you go. So if we just ignore all these bits and pieces, or I might just, so you can see it better. Normally I wouldn't cut them off early, but I'll do it so you see better what we're doing. There you go. Right. So this is next to each other. So we're at that point right now. So we're adding the next two. Same as before. Adding them on both sides. Once you add that side, turn it over. And then just follow what you did earlier. Make sure that you have the over one, under one. There you go. While I'm there. There you go. Right, so now I've got these two. Now I need to add the other two on this side. There you go. Quite straightforward. Right, so put them next to each other. So now we're at that point, right? These two. So now we do the same thing. Remember, we've tucked this bit in and that, and this and that. So now we need to tuck in that and that. So that would be these and that. As before, cut. Probably a little bit too short, but that's right. Right. And as I said, normally I would not cut these off yet, but in order for you to see what we're doing, it's probably easier. There you go. So now we're at that point. Now if you were to make just a little one like this, see, you would stop here. So you can make them smaller or you can make them longer. You just need to adjust the length of your strips if you do. So we're making this one, so we need to add another 2 on either side. So that's 1. 2. Double check on the other side. Make sure you get your checkerboard. There we go. That's that side. And now we do the same on the other side. Basically, as long as you have the over 1, under 1 across the whole contraption tree, then you're on the winning side. Okay. And last but not least, one more. Right, so if we put them next to each other, so same as before, we've tucked in these sides. So now we need to do the same here to start with, but then also because we're going to finish the bottom, you're going to tuck in the second. So we tuck in this one, which would be that one, and that one as well, which would be that one, on both sides. Right. Second one. See, this is one of those where you want to have it a little bit on an edge. Right, so we tucked those 2 in, them off, and now we do the same on the other side. Oops. Make sure you've got them nice and tight. The second one. Okay. So far so good. Right, if we look at them next to each other. So now all we need to do is make a flat bottom, and then pretty much done. to help you do that, so you want the flat bottom, so if you would need a little bit of a visual aid, you can mark your bottom, right? And so what I do is, because if you look at this, so you have, hard to see, so you have one, so this one, 2, then you've got the one that's coming on under here, 3, 4, and that's too thick, so you're cutting off 2 of these, 1, and then the next one, and then you have like a little opening, like you have a little hollow in here, right? And then the next one you just bring forward from underneath. Just be careful that you don't undo your careful work. And then you just fold it over and tuck it in. There you go. And the same with the second one that is now left over. Fold it over and of course when you demonstrate things it doesn't work like that. There you go. Right. See that? The next, so don't cut all 4. Be very careful when you're cutting. Once it's off, you can't put it back on. Right. So the next one. On an angle. And tuck it in. On an angle. And tuck it in. Quite straightforward. Next. There you go. And last but not least, so there is quite a bit of wastage with this one, because for demonstration purposes, when I make them myself, I actually make sure that I have them in different lengths, so I don't waste as much. But when you start learning, you don't want to overcomplicate things. By remembering, oh, hang on a second, which one is the short, which one is the long. And paper isn't the best material. I do like the thicker paper for that. There you go. So. Right, now. So, and that's really it. This was just a quick version of this. So all you need to do is now get a needle, get a bit of ribbon, pop it in the top here, and then Bob's your uncle, so to speak. So you get the different versions. If you are going to do this one, the slightly thicker one. Right, there's another one here. So they are, you know, substantially thicker than this. So if you wanted to hang them, they come in this 12 paper straps or strings, rather, paper strings width, and then you need to split them. If you make it in this width, you have to have them extra long, which isn't really a good idea to do. And they come in 10 different colors. And if you're in New Zealand, you can order them through our online shop, the sort of paper straps, and they also have these baskets instructions in it. So you can, hang on. There we go, there it is. So you get the instructions, they're in German and English, which is rather cool. So that's that, but they're really good for this sort of purpose because they are a little heavier. But if you want to just use normal paper or bark or harakeke or whatever, just do it. Other than that, Merry Christmas.